For as long as I can remember, 4K has been the most desirable resolution when it comes to gaming and often considered the best. And if you are only basing your consideration off of the physical pixels you get overall, you'd be totally right. And well, even by today's standards, it's definitely more than just pixel count, so I legitimately think 1440p is better than 4K. Now, our friends over at KTC sent me out this 32-inch 1440p monitor to review, so I'll be using this as my example in this video. I'm also giving one of these away, so be sure to stick around to find out more about that. I'm also going to be reviewing this from the perspective of a top 500 Overwatch player, as well as a more casual gamer who's currently safe scumming their way through Baldur's Gate 3. And while I don't hate on 4K whatsoever, in fact I think it's damned beautiful, but this leads me to my first reason why 1440p is better, and that's dated hardware. In my case, I do have this beautiful looking PC which can give me high refresh rates, but it's not really doing that at 4K. In my system, I am rocking a super tired RTX 2070, which is almost as tired as my senior millennial self. And I'm not saying everyone has old hardware like me, but straight up 1440p still looks great, and you're able to get high refresh rates on dated hardware. And what I have in my setup now is this KTC H32S17, which does give me up to 165Hz from my gaming PC, as well as 120Hz from my gaming consoles. The best part about 1440p is that from a competitive standpoint, I'm far less likely to drop frames when it really matters. And I did talk about how pros use 1080p primarily in a recent video, and naturally, as YouTube is, I was promptly roasted in the comment section about how 1080p is old news and the pros are now playing 1440p since hardware can now keep up really well. So depending on who you are, you might have a low, mid, or high spec PC that will easily handle 1440p on the regular, whether or not you're a hardcore gamer. Now that said, I'm somehow really good at Overwatch, I don't know how, but I'm still trash at just about everything else. Still, I've had a great time with this monitor so far. It is rather inexpensive too, which is yet another reason why 1440p is better than 4K. At the time of making this video at least, this monitor is only $250, which does give you that high refresh rate with a 1 millisecond response time, alongside a decent build quality. It's wild that inexpensive monitors are actually getting as good as they are nowadays, plus the barrier to entry for 1440p has never been lower. With this monitor, I do get all the cables I need alongside a tilt adjustable stand and the 15R curved display. From the front end too, it doesn't really scream gamer, which is actually how I prefer my tech, just some minor accents on the back end. For ports though, you do have 2 display ports which will give you that 165Hz, an HDMI 2.0 port up to 144Hz at 1440p, as well as a headphone jack and a USB port for software updates. I personally dig more adjustability than just tilt, so I did throw this on a heavy-duty monitor arm, plus I just prefer the overall aesthetic. Now up until now I haven't really heard of KTC, but they are new to the North American market, and they're actually a manufacturer for Samsung and ViewSonic. Really, I'm impressed with how this monitor is put together, and more competition in North America is a win for us gamers. From an affordability standpoint, with the sweet spot of fidelity, 1440p is definitely more accessible than 4K. And when it comes down to PC gaming, this is where I personally take most advantage of the 1 millisecond response time, NVIDIA FreeSync, and the 165Hz refresh rate. Now when it comes down to my rig, since it's only a 2070 with an i7 and 16 gigs of RAM, when it comes down to competitive gaming, simply put, 4K isn't really an option for me. What's most important to me while gaming is definitely stability, and truly my system holds an absolute strong 165Hz without dropping any frames. When competing against all other top 500 or Grandmaster players in Overwatch, every second counts. In this clip, I popped off so hard as Hanzo, I even made Blizzard disable the hero. Just kidding, that was a bug fix. And one thing I don't typically have is a curved display, which is always a nice bonus. If playing FPSs, if I'm going over a 27-inch display size, having a curve really helps with edge-to-edge visibility. With the 1 millisecond response time as well, it's practically imperceptible to me, so I know the hardware is on point. And if I am hopping outside of competitive games, I really dig having a large display as well for one of my all-time favorites, Red Dead Redemption 2. The image on here looks straight up awesome, especially coming in at under $300, and the smoothness and high refresh rate I get from my system simply wouldn't be possible on a 4K display. What is possible though is getting your hands on one of these monitors. I am giving one away to a lucky North American resident. All you gotta do is like the video and leave a comment letting me know what you'd be playing on here. I will be announcing the winner on October 27th. Now I know I already sort of touched on hardware affordability, but I just want to double down on the cost of building something to run 4K. I really do plan on building a custom rig that can give me high refresh rates at 4K, but up here in Canada, an RTX 4090 is over $2,000, which is absolutely nuts. This alone has been the biggest barrier for me and the main reason I've stuck with 1440p so far. By comparison, even if we're looking at the latest generation of GPUs, something like the 4070 is almost 1/4 the cost, which would give you high refresh rates at 1440p. Now, apart from GPUs and outside of PC gaming, there's obviously the game consoles, which is actually where I've spent most of my time gaming recently. And now I've somehow spent over 100 hours in Baldur's Gate 3 and I'm still in Act 2, and the majority of those hours have been played at 1440p. But really, for anybody looking to get into high refresh gaming for the first time, or build a budget setup with a console, a 1440p monitor makes this far easier to obtain. The thing is, the console space does super well at 1440p, similar to less expensive PCs. You can get both an Xbox Series S and a 32-inch high refresh monitor for less than $600. And for myself, playing Baldur's Gate has been an absolute pleasure, and even if you're looking to dunk on children competitively on console, all the new generation of systems will give you a super solid 120Hz across the Xbox Series S, Series X, and PlayStation 5. And similar to the PC experience, you will be getting that 1 millisecond response time, and since all three of the new gen systems have the AMD chipset, you will be getting AMD FreeSync. And I can still say playing games like Call of Duty is still wildly fun, despite me getting absolutely cooked all the time. And since the guns have so much recoil, I usually like to turn on the monitor's crosshairs. In terms of the other features, if you really dig customizing your color profiles, this all can be done within the menus, or you can simply use a preset like myself. I'm personally using the movie profile since I just prefer how this looks. I did also bump up the saturation out of box to get a boost in color. For other gaming specific features, you do have a gaming timer, an FPS counter, as well as the crosshairs I mentioned. Between the beautiful fidelity of this display and 1440p in general, its unwavering stability in competitive gaming, and its raw affordability, I really do think 1440p is better than 4K. For myself, it comes down to the overall experience of fidelity and raw performance. For myself, not having any drop frames is absolutely incredible during competitive games, and I can definitely see myself sticking with 1440p in the foreseeable future. Until I can update my PC, that is. Either way, thanks for watching till the end. If you do want to win one of these monitors, be sure to leave a like and a comment letting me know what you'd be playing on here. Anyways, that's been it. Thanks for watching. Till next time.